Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Canty, and this is another episode of Living Enlightened Every Day. I'm passionate about helping people discover different ways to live their life with joy, love, and authenticity, to truly love their life and live their passion under any circumstances. And today I have a special guest with me, Susan Allen, and she is a medium and a psychic and a well-known animal communicator. What makes Susan's gift truly special is her ability to communicate on a soul level with humans and animals through soul speak. This name came to her during a meditation. She conveys messages from clients, loved ones, and pets, past and present. Susan's channeling through pets and people brings next level healing to her clients, to their pets, and their environment. The channeled information that she provides is insightful, powerful, and truly transformational. I am so excited for you to meet Susan Allen, psychic medium and animal communicator. Stay tuned. I'm Elizabeth Canty, and I am with Susan Allen. She is an evidential psychic medium, animal communicator, and healer. I'm so excited that you are here. Welcome, Susan.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, and what I usually do is I invite our listeners, our watchers, to just check in with themselves and check out, who are you being as you listen to this podcast? Are you curious? Are you excited? Are you looking for that gem of inspiration that will change your life? Because what you look for and what you look from, you will find. So thank you, Susan. And I'm super excited. I love your energy. I love your clarity. I've seen some of your work. I would love for you to start just telling us a little bit about how your journey began as a medium.
It's interesting. I kind of welled up a little bit when you mentioned that medium, because what happened is I was always doing animal communication, not really knowing it. And when I was at a horse ranch in um, Malibu working on a horse, like just loving on him, I wasn't even getting paid for it. I was in a different career. He was starting to communicate with me, and I thought I was cuckoo. And when I would journal what he wrote, I then told the person that was leasing him, she was in the show ring with him, and she ran to her car and got a wad of cash, like a lot of cash, and put it in my hands and said, "You have a gift." And I started to really grow that gift through meditation and prayer. I was always an odd kind of child, as always, my mother would call me hypersensitive, but she was watching me. So it didn't really give me a hell of a lot of confidence. But I remember reading my first self-help book at age 10 and really being able to read this literature and high spiritual literature. And I could finish the book and sometimes reread the book, but my grades in school, I couldn't get through schoolwork. I
Wow.
never felt like I fit in at whatsoever, but I was relaxed and feel calm in nature. And I grew up in New York. I grew up a dancer and a model. So that's what really helped me fit in, is dancing and modeling and, being sought after for dating or dancing. But as time went on and as I got older and was in so many different careers, and this is a path that many mediums will tell you that are healers, they can't find themselves, they can't figure it out. And I would just start a job, major career, like in the art world. And I would be bored after a year because it wasn't fulfilling. And I had a major job in that art world, and they would pursue me for more jobs in that field. And I just was like, I made a lot of money, but I just wasn't happy. there was a fulfillment that I get doing spiritual based work that I didn't know. And like, kind of when you open this book, you can't close it.
Mm-hmm.
Turning on this faucet, you can't shut it. And my dog, who was my child, because we don't have children, and she really became a child. And for me, she really showed me who I was in the world. And we would have communication back and forth. And very, very special bond relationship. She had done some incredible things. And as time went on, the more time I spent alone, so this is the inward journey that, you know, a lot of mediums might miss. It's a lonely inward journey, but that creator, divinity, the light that you work with makes you feel not alone anymore. That's the beauty of the work. So you might not have, I was always a girl that everybody wanted to throw parties because I knew how to make a party really happen. And it's like, that's the last place I want to go is to a party today.
Yeah.
I get invited and I don't go. I'm an empath, so I'll take on, you know, everybody's stuff and try to transmute it. But sometimes I'm literally exhausted the next day from being around a crowd of people.
Yeah.
The one thing I feel like when I do my platform work and I'm in front of 30 or 40 people in a crowd, I don't take that on. It's interesting how I'm protected, but it's when I'm around just a bunch of people for a party or a birthday party or a wedding. Oh, I kind of don't go to a lot of these things now. It's interesting how that.
Well, yeah, you mentioned that, and I could just see it in my mind's eye. I can see that when someone comes to you and there's, you know, you're on a stage or you're even one-on-one in a session with a private session with someone, and there's an expectation. It's like, I'm over here doing this and you're there doing that, and you can meet without taking it on, you know, you can observe without absorbing it. And I think that's what you described when we're at a party or a casual event where there's a lot of people, there isn't that false barrier. There's almost an intimacy that is hard to block, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't know what transpires. I mean, a lot of people are very sure of their guides, very sure of who's giving them help in the spirit world. It's always been like completely unclear, except when my dad would literally come into a reading with his arm around a gentleman that was also in the army and showing me the man had dementia and really couldn't communicate. And that's what I would bring forth to the wife. It's really interesting. Or I could see my brother helping me in the spirit world, or my sister or my mom. But most of the time, I just feel like I'm connecting to something out there that is pure source energy that runs through me, my electromagnetic field. So during a reading, I feel very electric, if you want to call that. I feel electric. I don't remember my readings. I don't remember what I say to people. I'll remember an animal name, oddly. I did a reading for somebody on social media, like it had to be 5 years ago. And I was bringing in her mother's pet by accident. And I said, Button? And she goes, I don't know what my mother's dog, and she called her mother, and her mother's dog's name was Buttons. So I really remember that. I remember the names rather than the people. You know, I really do remember that. And I've helped a lot of people through the loss of their pets and deceased loved ones. But the pets, I think, bring the most grief because there's an innocence about it. And we, as humans, we question if it was time, or, you know, if it was, did we help them cross over prematurely? Could we get another month or two out of it? And I feel so bad for people that they second guess themselves and they mistrust themselves, because that is the most suffering I've ever seen.
Oh, yes.
is with a pet, more than a person, believe it or not.
Wow.
I've done like over the Rainbow Bridge where I have 40 people on Zoom. And the day before, I'm literally not feeling well because the day of, there was just so much grief.
Oh,
And the minute I start my readings, it dissipates. It's like the minute you bring in evidence, because people will be on spirit world and they'll clutch my breath, or they'll give me a pain in my throat, or they'll give
yeah.
me a pain in my head to show me how they cross.
Right.
But the pain of the grief, or the grieving person, the parent who lost a child, or the person who lost a cat, and that is huge because we, as you know, we travel in soul families.
Yeah.
So a cat or a dog in this lifetime could have been a dad or a husband in the last lifetime. And everybody syncs up and waits for the last person to cross over, and then you decide as a group, are we going to go back? Um, but that's how I felt like about my dog Rosie, and you couldn't explain that relationship. That dog never hit the ground. I mean, I see other dogs. I hadn't had a dog in like 20 years, and that dog would come down the street, and I'd scream at my husband, "Pick her up, pick her up!" I would be like the helicopter mom from hell if I actually had human children. I would be psycho. And my husband would go, it's fine. But I just wanted her to be so safe and perfect. And of course,
Yeah.
it kind of got borderline. Like I went to Ojai to see a client that I had read for over and over for her dog. And she said, bring your dog. And I brought my dog. And I said, this dog is my whole world. And she looked at me and she goes, you better get a bigger world. She was so funny.
Right.
Um, but she really was, she was my it girl, and about I had worked with this well-known medium that you saw me with, and for like a year, I think. He mentored me, and he brought me out as an animal communicator, and not one phone call for animal communication. It was very odd. And he said, you're a medium. And man, I was like off and running. I was a medium, but I didn't really know it. Many levels.
Right.
90% of my readings are for people.
Yeah.
But I love my animal work because for me, it's how it all started, and
Well,
how.
there's something about the innocence, as you mentioned, of animals that probably I'm just guessing because you sound like you were so young when you were doing that. And then there's a freedom when we're young. We can believe that we can communicate
Oh,
with animals and we can connect with animals. And I grew up with horses as well. And there's just something about that, but I would never have thought then that I could communicate with someone who had passed or on the other side. And of course, at that time, I didn't realize, spirit guides or some other things weren't a part of the way I grew up. So I didn't know about any of that as a way of expressing or experiencing our human connection, beyond the veil. But I can picture that with animals, that it just feels like a safe place to develop that gift, that empathy and that compassion, and to have that reciprocated. They give that back to you in communication.
and the energetics of an animal are
Yeah.
profound. I really remember, like, when I was working with elephants during the massive poaching crisis in Africa. It was
Mhm.
much worse than it is today, and I would just envision them herding and walking and finding food and finding water. I mean, that's the vibration that you want. They don't want us to feel sad or worried or have a fear-based thought about them. Just like when you're with a beloved who maybe has terminal illness, they don't want to constantly see in your face the fear and worry. They want to see happiness, joy, and hope, because that is the energy because we're all energy, and energy will make you sick or make you happy and well. So we
Mm.
always want to reach for that much, much higher vibration, because as we do, the thoughts that we think, we're bringing into our vibration over and over.
Mm.
It's important. And we're learning more and more about energy and EMFs. And EMFs are very especially if you're sensitive, the electromagnetic field of EMF are hard on our bodies. And a lot of people are wearing these, probably get sued, but these Apple Watches, and their
Oh,
bodies are always on. Like, you have to give it a
oh,
break. You have to go step on the grass and do grounding work, because we're just these human beings that, we are souls, like we're in this body bag, as you
yeah.
know, and it's very limited. And before you know it, on a blink of an eye, we're not even here anymore. But while we're in these bodies, they're full of cells and they need to be grounded. And we're all electromagnetic, because I wouldn't be talking to dead people or deceased pets or just souls of living pets if we weren't that frequency, you see.
One of my favorite things about being creative in the ways that we are, allow ourselves to heal, and that is with mediums. I feel like you are a reminder to all of us that there is life after life. I mean, there is just a
Yeah.
continuum of life, a continuum of energy, a continuum even of the personality that we can recognize as, that energy being. And our religion can tell us that that's true, or someone might say, yes, that's true. But we also have plenty of things in our society, especially in our culture, that says that there's a huge fear of death and dying because it means that we don't exist anymore, or that they don't exist anymore. And it's just not true. And I also love, that's why you call yourself an as evidential psychic, is that you bring in evidence that reminds us, oh, they're here.
Yeah.
They have that trait or that quirk or that saying or whatever it is that reminds us, yes, they are here. They're with us. That life is never lost. It's never
That's right.
gone. It's just transitioned. And what
That's
a
right.
beautiful gift that you bring to people to remind us that, yeah, I can help you see that. And
Yeah.
it's so comforting. It's healing.
Yes, and it trumps, I think, anything I've ever done in my life. And I've had so many different careers, but it kind of trumps all of it. And that's why I continually stay with this. And when I often wonder, what's the next work, I would be sitting and writing my book, that I'm trying to finish, because it's a long time coming. And I put it on hold for so long, or didn't think I could do it. And I finally am able to do it. And I got that push from Alison Dubois, the original medium from the
Oh,
medium. I
yes.
was doing a few podcasts for her and I did some readings for her. And she finished and she said, "You have to finish that book. You have to finish. And you're going to put your dog on the back cover." Because it's kind of like how I really got started, was through working with her
Yeah.
and being here with her and having to be that, and having that presence and stillness with an animal is how I quieted my mind. And that's kind of how it all starts, is when you can quiet your own crazy thoughts of your to-do list and what you have going on next, and leave room for that space for other thoughts and other things to come in. That's the gift. I mean, and it's so comforting to do readings for other people on one level, and it is taxing on another. It's not a joke. Mediumship, if you're doing it correctly, you can't do more than 3 readings a day. If you're doing 5, 6, 7, 8 readings a day, you will get sick. I mean, I have so
Mm.
many medium friends that I love. One of them, she goes, "I'm in a bad mood." I go, "Yeah, because you're doing too many readings." And so when you get to that place and you put yourself on the back burner, you're really useless and not of service to others, in my opinion, because you can be so
Yeah.
much better for yourself and for others if you just take good care of yourself.
Well, you mentioned that you do meditation, and
Mm-hmm.
quieting the mind. And I believe, of course, that is such a wonderful way for any of us to get to that, to the place where we can have our own idea and expression of how to take care of ourselves. Because some of us, if we're an introvert, as you imagine, well, probably not an extreme introvert, but I'm introverted. And if I try to go out and do events or parties, I have a big family and there's always something to celebrate. But if I try to do everything and go everywhere and be with everyone, I I could get sick. That is a way for me to, my body will shut down before, because I haven't been paying attention to when I need to
Yeah,
shut it down, to be
yeah,
quiet and be still.
of course.
But an extrovert, they may get a little stir crazy and they have to be around certain kinds of energy, and that energizes them so that they can then be still. We have to find our own way to love ourselves into
Right.
our own sense. And I also think that part of your journey, as you're describing it to us, is you had that beautiful art job that people would have died for, I'm guessing, if that was their a beautiful expression for them, a creative expression, a business expression, being in that art world. And yet for you, it was like, no, it was cutting off your energy.
Well,
So
I loved the people I represented so much that
sure,
I
yeah,
wanted to get them into the galleries and get their work out there and do their shows. And I never thought that I would be here talking about myself, to be honest with you. It's so much easier to promote somebody else than talk about myself. But when you are in your authenticity and you
yes,
are true to yourself, you can't shut up about it. You can't stop talking about it, because every reading brings a new experience. Every reading brings that, oh my God, um, that you start an awareness, and spirit will always teach and show you. I mean, I studied with the best um, British mediums from Arthur Findlay School. I went to Arthur Findlay. I've studied with the best when I did study.
oh,
Um, but you are really, you have to sit with yourself. You have to be with yourself. And it's an inward journey. It's not, many mediums will sit in spirit circles for a million years. I never found that I had to do that, because I have always found my guides, if you want to call them that. I call it the light that I work with. They've always been accurate and they've always helped me. So I just work directly with the spirit world. I've done circles and I sat in circles, um, but I didn't spend 25 years in a circle, you know. So
well,
it really is finding your way,
yeah.
on your own.
And do you believe that we all have innate gifts of connecting with, whether you call it light or spirit guides, things like that? Because I think you coach people in being more intuitive with their, and what do you, the light maybe, or spirit guides?
Yeah, I have my own process that I've been using, that, tidbits of 25 years. I think I studied mediumship when I was 17, privately, one on one, in a group in Manhattan with this very, very knowledgeable and older lady. It wasn't quite mediumship. I was studying like higher arcana and the
Hmm.
tarot and mysticism. She's a very, very well known teacher. And so I've always dabbled in this. I've always but I never thought of myself as one of these people that had gifts or abilities. My real abilities came out much later in life, but it does run in families. My Italian grandmother on my dad's side didn't speak a lick of English, but she was a gifted medium, but she shut it down because it terrified her.
Yeah.
So I'm so drawn to go to this place in Italy where she was from now. So I always say, like, if you have this feeling of wanting to go someplace, you probably need to go there. And
Mhm.
yeah, because there's, spirit or your guide are always giving you ideas. I mean, don't go jump off a bridge. That's probably not. But if you have this feeling like of needing to go work at a horse ranch or go somewhere in Alaska. I think you have to follow the blueprint for that. I think most people don't trust themselves.
Yeah.
When you really start trusting yourself and sit in the quiet space and, be quiet and slow down your breathing and slow down your thoughts. And I teach a very specific way to quiet your mind that has always worked. I've had so many great people in my life, just very, very highly evolved spiritual people that have journeyed with me and been there. Not journeyed like with plant medicine. I've never done that. I won't do that because I'm so far out there as it is. I don't need that.
Right.
But I'm just this person that really, the more I did of this work, the better I got. And it's really, it's all about the trust. It's all about trusting and not being attached to your ego of trying to get it right. It's like relaxing. It's kind of like being in a relaxed place. And it's almost like you create your own high because through meditation and prayer, you start to recalibrate your cells and your brain and your chemistry. So even if it's just for better health and better sleep, I'm a big proponent of meditation.
Yes, and you just described it, I think, in a nutshell, the idea of I'm interviewing in a few weeks Andrew Newberg, who wrote How Enlightenment Changes Your Brain. He's a scientist, medical doctor. I'll look it up before I interview him, but he has like 7 or 8 books, and I've taken courses with him, and it's literally they have peer-reviewed studies and medical journals of how meditation changes your brain in your cells and your memory and the makeup of our cells and everything. It's not an idea. It's what he and medical science and would call a fact. It's the cells look like this before meditation, and after 6 weeks or whatever it is, now this is happening. And more than that is that we experience those changes. And like you, I've never done any plant, medicine journey, mushroom, anything yet. I can say yet, but it's because I feel like when I get into that space, I feel my own body chemistry change.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel the joy and the peace welling up and exuding itself, like I'm not making anything happen, but I am being still and being aware. There's just an amazing feeling. And I think what I would love for our listeners to know is that as we sit wherever any of us are on this path of just learning to be still and know that we can love our life, we can live our passion. We might be living someone else's wonderful dream of being an art dealer or being a restaurant owner or whatever it is. But if our passion has moved into something else, that when we're in that space, we can be guided and directed by that inner voice and it could be as simple as a thought. And you mentioned trust, because sometimes we get a crazy idea and it might be to quit our job. And you think, I've got, 3 kids and a brand new car payment. How would I possibly, quit? But there's something in it. If we become still and listen to that voice, there's a movement that when we take action on it, incredible synchronicity unfolds. Did you find that in your life?
Yeah, because I always worried, well, what if I let go of the salary job? And I'm not telling people to quit their day job to
No,
no. That would be like a very big mistake.
Yes.
You really have to set yourself up to not be what I would call a desperate medium, doing fire sales and giveaways, and it's too much static.
Yes.
You have to really, you'll know your way if you're supposed to do this work. You'll just know, because synchronistic events will happen and the money will show up when you're not worried or in that space of giving up careers or having to feed children. that is like a different experience. It's never going to feel like stress. This work
I
is
agree.
never going to feel like, oh my
Yes.
God, what's next for me? Or if you're never going to be like in that place of, the social media craze is like, I have clients that are celebs that are doing social media like every day, every day. I couldn't do it. I mean, I'm not trying to keep up. I just know that spirit brings me my tribe, and the people that are supposed to be drawn to me come to me.
Yeah.
And occasionally I'll do videos and stuff like that, but I'm not really connected to that. I don't feel like there's an authentic piece in me that feels drawn to that. Everybody has to do it, but I'm not completely drawn to it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's finding your joy and your
It
passion
is. It
in
is.
that element. Like I'm with you, that isn't what I love to create. And I'll get in roles where I do love to create, like it's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
at the beach, or oh, I'm with my dog, or oh, I'll post this. And then I'll go radio silence for a while. It'll be like,
I don't know how they do it every day, every day. I'm blown away that they could do that. But
well, I
I
hope
think
they're
each
in
of
their
us,
passion doing it.
I
I hope
hope
they're in their
so.
love. Yeah.
I hope so. I think maybe yes. I think if they're in front of the camera and they're on screen all the time, you're probably right. They're
Yeah.
probably doing what they love and to be seen and dressing up. So I'm going to take it from there to say that not everybody is created equal. We're all different. We all have to come from our own unique authenticity.
Yeah.
And if we appreciate that authenticity and we trust that we're different and not try to, turn ourselves inside out to make ourselves look or feel or act like somebody else, miracles happen. It's all about trusting yourself to go where you're going to go and just allowing it, and to not constantly criticize yourself and berate yourself. It's all about really falling in love with yourself and working with the divinity to build the light in yourself so that you know what the next move is. You intuitively know to switch lanes on a freeway. Or if you get stuck in traffic, you're not cursing the traffic, knowing that the traffic is there to help you or maybe save you from something imminent. I mean, we don't know, but I know that divinity and people will say to me, but why did that happen? It's very, very karmic, the things that happen in our lives. It's very, very karmic. So if you were like a horrible person in the last life, and maybe you were a man abusing a woman verbally, maybe in this life you're going to be a woman that will experience a man abusing you verbally because you did that to him in a previous life. And now you're together again, but now you're the woman in this life and he's the man. And in the last life, you were the man and he was the woman. So karma, as they say, is a bitch. But when you get through some of your karma, when you get through some of it, you're left with some gifts. And if we could look at these situations in our life that we go through, loss and death and money loss or housing loss or whatever, or job loss, career, businesses, if we could look at that and find the gift in that,
Yes.
that's really where the beauty comes in. We're humans, so when the stuff hits the fan, we may react, but the best thing I ever read is if you could just be right in the middle, whether it's the best thing in your life that's ever happened or the worst thing in your life, is to just maintain some type of balance within yourself. So you're not losing your mind over a loss, and you're not like thinking that, the next greatest thing that is happening to you is the best thing, because it will always have a season, it will always have a season. When I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars in the art world, I thought it would never end. So I was like spending it like crazy. I was young and dumb. So, when that happened and I decided I'm burnt out, I can never be back in this career ever again, then I had to reevaluate and go, there's just a limit to how happy you can be from stuff. It's really the experiences that we have with another human being, or with, you know, your divinity inside of you, or the spirit world, or walks in nature, or a bird, you know, flying by your window, or having a glance at you, or hummingbirds nesting outside your window. It's those finer, artistic, beautiful moments in life that are so much more meaningful than stuff, you know,
Well,
so much
like
more
you said,
meaningful.
those moments are always happening. And when
Yes,
we go through our life missing them, then we need some big thing like the new pair of shoes or the new, you know,
yes,
whatever it is, because we haven't seen all the little gifts all day, you know, the bird, or the lizards chasing each other, or, you know, even the dog, you know, just curling up at the foot, you know, at our feet. It's like we're missing all the subtle joys and gifts, the
that's right.
beauty that's all around us, feeling the sun on our skin, or the breeze, or the
Hmm.
coolness, or the
Exactly.
clouds. And as we miss that, we feel like, some of us, it's like, oh, well, I need something. I need the, you know, the Starbucks, or the, you know, I need to go here. I need, because we've missed all the little things, but they're always right there. They're all these gifts for us to see in
Exactly.
each moment.
That's
And that's,
exactly it. And I wish we
yeah,
could fill our days more with that than with worrying about how to get the next best thing, or how do we achieve, because somebody is on social media saying they make $15,000 a month, or 150,000. I think we're missing ourselves, because we're comparing our own lives with somebody else's life, when you can't, because what's happening with you, you don't really know what's happening with them. You're just seeing like a glimpse. I'll give you a for instance. I knew somebody that constantly posted about her husband. My husband does not like social media at all. He doesn't really want to have anything to do with it. But posting about all their love and their happiness, and their, like, every day it was like another. Every time I turned around, I was like, wow, that's so sweet, you know. When I did finally get with her to talk with her, she said, we uncoupled and I'm getting married to my high school sweetheart. And I was like, wow, the story that I was shown on social
right.
or Facebook, which I don't like looking at social, but you have to look at social, because I get pinged there or DMs there. It's completely the opposite of what was true.
Yeah.
And I wish more people realize that. Like, some people need to paint a picture, but
Yeah.
it's false. The truth is what you know about yourself, is learning more about yourself, trusting yourself, knowing what you like, knowing what you dislike, being okay with that, see? Because the outside world will constantly tell you what you shouldn't be and shouldn't do. And then you're not authentic to who your real nature is and
Right.
yourself. And then you're slowly losing yourself, or becoming what somebody else wants you to become. And
Yeah.
that when we get sad, and that's when the depression hits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's how you can help too, right? I think people must come to you and they really are looking for answers that they feel that they can't get
Mm-hmm.
by turning within in a simple meditation, or maybe they haven't really even tried meditating, but they're really coming to you to help heal in one way
Yeah.
or another. Is that what you find?
I've mentored several people. They did little videos on my website, and we changed the course of their lives. You know, divorced ladies that would come to me right after divorce, not knowing what to do. And I've worked with the spirit world, and through um, some form of hypnosis that I'm trained in. But I don't, I really just use the skills from many lifetimes and many um, spirits that I think I've embodied. And we've had careers made, we've had relationships fixed. So I like doing it. I don't have a lot of room for mentees. Like, I maybe take on 2 mentees every 6 weeks. I don't do like 20 a month. I'm not this, you know, I don't do group mentoring. I do one-on-one, and I love it. And I really love it. And we've changed some lives there. I mean, wonderful changes. I think one of my clients called me trauma aware. I think so. That's a nice thing
Right.
to be called. And you know, two of them found each other, I guess, on social media, and they talk about me that, you know, I've changed their lives, and that's really nice. It's really, really nice to have young women say that about me, you know? So
Well,
if I
isn't
could,
aren't people coming to you for private sessions as well?
yes,
There's that one thing, if they could, I imagine that people just have that
yeah,
sense, if I could just get some help with this one or two
yeah,
things, or like the
yeah,
grief from losing someone, or, things like
yeah,
that.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's really amazing. You know, I think I get more excited. I try to tone it down, but you know, I love getting names. I love getting um very specific things from the spirit world. I love that. It makes me really happy to know that I'm in with the spirit world, you know, because I wouldn't feel like I would be helping somebody if I couldn't give something like that for them, you know?
Well, you must feel very connected, and I think that's why you mentioned you get drained a little bit too, is that
Yeah.
connection and being an empath, because
Yes.
most people I would assume are coming to you in sorrow
Yeah.
or in grief or in a sense of loss.
It's not, you know, it's if you're doing really good mediumship, you will have these feelings because the morning of reading, sometimes and I still kind of forget the morning of a reading. I'll be making my coffee and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? What's going on? Did I not sleep well? Are my hormones off? Or this? I was just, and then all of a sudden I sit in front of the person and it all leaves because it was their spirit people like all over me all morning. But I don't allow messages to come in. I don't look for them unless I'm sitting in front of somebody or I'm not looking for the messages. That's my downtime. But man, it is hitting the fan way before the people even get in front of me. It is really there. The energetics. I mean, my husband laughs now. He goes, "It's your gift. It's your gift. You'll be fine." And I'm like, "Why am I feeling like this? It's your gift." It's and he's always kind of right. I hate to say it. Not that
That's
I
his
tell him
gift.
that. Yeah, he's kind of got that. He's kind of got that thing with me now, so it helps because you know, he's really right behind me now. Because when I first started doing it, he's like, "Don't tell people you're doing this."
Right.
Because I was an LA realtor. I was selling real estate and I wasn't loving it. I hated it, but I made what you would call an LA living. It wasn't $1 million listing agent. I listed some $1 million houses because LA, everything here is a million,
Right.
but I wasn't enthralled. And I would go into houses and I'd feel all this energy. And I'm sure everything shows on my face. I can't not show it. I've been like this since I'm a little girl.
Yeah,
And
I am
I
too.
think people would, yeah, it's like people could read your face. I can't lie. I'm not gonna, I can't. It's just who I've always been, you know, even as a kid. And the ironic thing is the little girl and as an adult, people will come up to me that won't even know me and start telling me all their problems. That's something.
Wow.
And then I'm always loving and kind, right? But it's like, what? I would question this over and over. It's the electromagnetic pull. It's like
That's
people can feel that you're a healer and they can feel that you're going to help them. And I mean, the stuff people have told me, sometimes I just like, my mailbox guy at my post store, he just runs up to me and tells me things. I don't know. I just want to get my mail and go home and give him boxes. And it's like, I say to my husband, should I tell him? Like, I don't want to know. Like, I don't want to hurt his feelings. He adores me. But my husband's like, no, don't say anything.
So that's one of my questions is, are you able to really turn that on and turn it off? Do you have like a,
Oh,
I could
oh,
just
you mean,
picture, the Wonder Woman shield, it's like whoosh,
I've been
whoosh.
working on that my whole life. I mean, I've talked to people about this. I've learned many tools and tips, from many experienced people out there. And I think the only thing that really works is dissipating the energy by going in my front yard, hugging the tree, and
Mm.
standing on the grass and just literally getting it out that way. I think that's the only thing that really works, because I feel like, spirit is using your neurological system. It's running energy through you, energy, energy. And that's exactly what nature will do. It will take away this electromagnetic field that's going on in you and feelings, and it doesn't hurt the tree. They can handle it better than us.
Well, that's why I'm at the beach almost every day.
Good
I am
for
walking
you.
with my feet in the water, and
Good.
I feel like the waves come up and they just take anything away that needs to be taken away. And I feel like it's giving at the same time. So it's
Mm-hmm.
giving and taking that breath, that flow, and the wind and the breeze and
There's
the
nothing like living, as I'm a Pisces and I have a pool outside and I can hear the fountain in the pool. And I think that saved my life.
I
But I
love that.
remember anytime I would move further away from the beach, because I had a beach house, and um, my husband and I decided to move to get a horse ranch, and I haven't gotten any animals because my career really took off. So I can't rescue, I can't work with horses anymore. It's just the way that it is. But I really loved being at the beach. The problem with being at the beach is the houses are very close together. And at one point, I just looked at my husband, who was then my boyfriend, and I said, I can't live here anymore. I can't. And the water was so specific for me as a Pisces with a Cancer moon. I needed to smell the ocean air.
Mhm.
Even though I was 6 blocks away from the beach, you could smell the ocean. You could
Oh
even
yeah.
drive to the ocean, a 5 minute drive, you're at the ocean. I miss that. But at the same token, now that I'm on this huge property, I don't have to deal with people. Not that I
Yeah.
don't love people, but it's easier not to be like right up against your neighbor. Just like people that live in apartments in Manhattan, they're constantly bombarded with the electromagnetics of their neighbors, their Wi-Fi, the noise of the street. It's really busy. And I'm a New Yorker. I grew up in New York. So, but it's a bombardment of your senses. I was thinking about it last night. I was like, I think I just need to live in the Sierra Nevadas, even though I think I would be freezing. I don't know.
Right.
I'm always,
I
you're
needed
always finding yourself as a medium or a sensitive. You're always figuring out the next best thing that would work for you.
I just had a job opportunity come up that was still in Florida, but it was further down south. It's a very different vibe down there as opposed to North Florida. But I remember just thinking, I love where I live and I love everything
Mhm.
that I have. And it's, the house and the beach right there, and everything's kind of done just right. Everything's so beautiful and everything, but I'm not attached to it.
Right.
Meaning I can travel or go somewhere else or take another job, or like I want to stay open to that movement of what's next without forcing anything to be next, but
It's
being
the right way to
intuitive.
approach it. Yeah.
Yeah. Being in that flow of life. And I've had time to what I would say, for a good year and a half after my son moved out to go to college, it was like, I'm on vacation. Nobody bother me. I've been a
I
mom
feel
for a
like that
long
when my
time.
husband goes and leaves the house I'm kidding.
Well, it's like, but now it's like, oh, I've regrouped, I've rejuvenated,
Yeah.
I've gotten
Yeah.
really, back in
And
touch
then
with
all of a
me.
sudden the next feelings come in. I miss my son, right?
Of course.
Because we're always bombarded with these feelings. And that's where the spirit and the quiet come in. It's just to be with the present. Because I have them too, but then I just go, I think I'm going to go meditate. And I'm doing that more and more and more, or reading high vibration literature, or putting my feet in the grass. And a lot of people don't have that opportunity to do that whenever they want. But as a person that's running energy and helping heal people, thank God I have the ability. Like, I'm supposed to do this work because the way that my life was set up and the opportunities that came in that I took. There was a year that I was bombarded with getting a house in the Central Coast of California, where there are a lot of animals and not so many people. And I woke up every day and for 15 months trying to find a house there, not knowing. And I put offers in, and I was constantly, you know, not given the house, and it was just brutal. And I'm a realtor, and I knew how to get houses, and they didn't want me there. They were like, you have to let us represent you. And I'm like, nah, I want to represent myself. And then I met somebody who was a realtor selling a house that read from the same magazine I read from daily, which is Unity magazine, Science of Mind. I read that. I've been reading it for 20 years. And it was an interesting friendship, and we still have that friendship. And I ended up buying a house that she sold me, and she let me represent myself. So that was like, and when I achieved that, it all went away, that chatter of having to have that. And I finally have relaxed. But it's like spirit will give me an idea, and I have to follow that lead. And it's never steered me wrong. And yeah, and a medium years and years ago said, yeah, spirit doesn't lie, and spirit will figure out your retirement. And boy, was he right. It's like, if you're living in the light and you're trusting and doing this work, and you're there to serve for the greater good, and you're not there to be a phony or tapping into the spirit world because you want to make a new living for yourself, that is really how they give back. It's just taking care of your next move.
When you said this science mind, I'm ordained minister through this
Oh,
for
how
spiritual
beautiful. My husband's mother is too. Isn't that wild? And
Well,
he was reading all that for years too. And I used to go to Agape when I lived in Marina del Rey.
that's where I went.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's back when it was on Olympic.
I didn't know it when it was on Olympic. I just knew it when it was at Culver City, and you'd wait on the line outside for hours.
Yeah, so I was a practitioner there then, and then now, been a minister for a long time now. So,
well, I love that.
But I love that connection that we have. That makes sense to me now, that you are so spiritually grounded and this idea, and I love the spiritual principles at the Centers for Spiritual Living. And I think more and more they're realizing what I said at the beginning of this podcast, is that there are many ways for healing to come into our lives, and through the energy of spirit, through the guidance of spirit, and using other people who are connected to their gifts, whatever that is. Some people are teaching us meditation, and some people we're going to for mediumship, to remember that our loved ones are not lost, they're with us, and that we have spirit guides, or that we have our higher self or intuition, or that we are light beings. So we all play, the roles. I think that when we're really guided and directed, and I feel like you have been so guided and directed in your life. And what's the best way for people to prepare to see you? I mean, I know they're going to call you, they're going to make an appointment on your website, but what state of mind are you, what works best for you? How does that work?
Well, it's what would work best for the spirit world, and how they could get the most benefit from having a session with me is telling their loved ones in the spirit world the day and time that we have our appointment. And it's kind of like, just please, would you come? I'd really love to talk to you. I'd really love for you to help me with X, Y, and Z, if they're having a big move or a job thing. I never ask questions until the end. And when I do ask questions, I'm like, do you have any questions? No, you've answered them all. Because spirit knows what they need. I don't know what they need. Spirit helps guide them. So that's the best way, is just sit and say, hey, don't forget. But they only have to say it once or twice.
Sure.
And also, the best thing is if they come for reading, to have an open heart and mind and not create a stronghold. I've created strongholds when I've had mediums read for me. What it does is it stops good information from coming in, where the person they want to hear from the most, I mean, the most will come in the last 10 minutes. You know, like, I need to hear from this person. You know what I mean? And it's
Right. It's that energy. It's just like this. It's so contracted. You're like, no, we're trying to do the opposite. We're trying to really
it's exactly
open.
the energy gets contracted. And I have just, I feel that they'll get what they need just by being present and having an open heart and just saying to their loved ones, I'd really love to hear from you. And inevitably, love is, as you know, is the greatest healer. Even if a stranger just is kind to you when you're having a rough day, it changes the whole calibration of your body and your day. We've all experienced that. Just somebody kind, smiling, and you being in a rotten place, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, that's a God shot. So it's really kind of that love that never dies. It's the highest vibration, highest energy. It trumps everything: fear, anger, hate. Love can kill it all and just get you what you need in these readings. And I feel like I love what I do so much, and I love the person sitting in front of me so much, that they would, take the time, spend the money, and sit with me and work with the spirit with me. It's just like, love is really the highest vibration. And when I enter into these readings with a lot of love and a lot of compassion, I get the best messages. So,
Well, and that's what I feel like people who are watching this, they're gonna know you as that, and they're gonna be drawn to connect with you for that reason, just to remember the truth of their being and the wholeness of their being, and you're gonna allow space for that. I definitely see that. I invite the listeners to reach out with any questions or comments to Susan Allen, and you can find out more about her through her website, susanallenmedium.com. And I know that she has a newsletter. You can sign up for private sessions. She has this wonderful, way that she does it. It's called Soul Speak. And it's just such a beautiful way of saying what you do is soul communication with our past ones and with animals, and for any healing, I think. Anything else you want to add to that? I know you have an Instagram page.
Oh, I do. At Susan Allen Medium, and I'm on Facebook. But I wanted to mention, if they can't book a reading, or my readings are too far out, they can always email assistant@susanallenmedium.com. And I do group events, like galleries of 8, where they will definitely get a reading. They'll be with 8 other people. They're a little bit less expensive than meeting with me one-on-one. And I do like animal events here and there, and I do large group events as well.
So something for everyone, right? Meeting them right where they are. That's just beautiful. And we can expect a book coming out. You mentioned that.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm meeting with my editor, I think, tomorrow. And we're working on the chapters. There's a lot of really good juice in there, premonitions that happened, just really good stuff. I usually talk about a lot of that stuff, but this interview with you went a different way. So I'm really happy.
You are quite well known. You have interviews with very famous mediums and psychics, and news channels. So they will definitely find out more about you. But now I'm just thrilled that people see that spiritual side of you, and that's what they are, how they are meeting you, is just this deep sense of spiritual connection, soul speak. It's just perfect.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Or just please let me know when the book does come out. And I'm happy to say that my book just won a cover award, a gold award. So yeah, I'm super excited, and it's available on Amazon as well. And of course, people know they can find me at elizabethcanty.com. And I will put all the links to Susan in the notes for the show. Just inviting viewers to hit like if you like this, hit subscribe, share this with a friend, because they might be at that point where they're really ready to heal that one thing in their life, to remember the truth of their being, and they'll call Susan and maybe get a reading, or you go with them, that friend, and go to a gallery of 8, I think. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Just sounds like so much fun. It would be fun to have like 8 of your friends or 8 family members or something.
I have a lot of that. I have a lot of little groups. I do those in person too, if you're like within an hour from where I live. And I see people in person in Marina del Rey as well. So
next time I'm in town, probably
definitely.
August.
Oh, I'd love to see you. Definitely.
I would too.
Call me or email me
good.
or whatever. I'd love to see you.
I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm Elizabeth Canty. This is Susan Allen, and this is Living Enlightened Every Day. Join me every week for a new insight as to how we can love our life and live our passion every single day. And just remember to laugh, love, and live enlightened.